Hi there, Brent Kastner here. This is a 2004 Audi TT with a 3.2 liter engine. In the previous videos, I sort of set up the work that we're doing to this car. I've made a decent amount of progress over the last couple of weeks, a little bit here, a little bit there, as time allows. But I kind of wanted to do a check-in and sort of show you as far as I've gotten and some of the things that I've had to do to sort of get some of these pieces off. So, you want to take a look at the engine here. I actually have the intake manifold and the valve cover off. One of the things that I was sort of concerned about was the state of this engine, 154,000 miles on it, and I just wanted to make sure that that it was in fairly decent shape. You can see that there's some scorching going on. I'm not really sure why that is, but the oil seems like it's in good shape. There's no water in the oil or anything like that, or vice versa. When I drained the G12 or the antifreeze out of this, that came out clear and was in really great shape. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's kind of walk through some of the things that I've had to do in order to get to this step. So the front bumper on these cars are actually relatively easy to remove. So I took off the shroud, a couple bolts on either side. It's actually very well documented. Pretty easy to do. I've actually disconnected this sort of lock guard here and have pulled it forward so that I could drain out the radiator and the block of fluid. I've pulled out the secondary air injector along with its bracket, which is really kind of strangely shaped, so you had to sort of work it around some of the hoses that are down in there and stuff, and then pulled the radiator out. As you can see, most of the sort of the air conditioning compressor, as well as the what's the word I'm looking for, the condenser, have been disconnected and have sort of dropped out of the way. I'm actually using this chair to hold the bumper up, but with it pulled forward maybe about 5 inches or so, gives me a lot of room to work up under here. In order to get the manifold, the intake manifold off, interestingly, I had to do a lot of work on the lower part of the engine. We disconnected the power steering pump. We unbolted the air conditioning compressor unit, as well as the alternator. That was a really tricky job, actually. The alternator and the air conditioner compressor are extremely tight, and there's some bushings in there that make it difficult to, even once it's unbolted, to slide it off of the mount that it's on. I ended up having to use a piece of wood and a hammer, largely, to start moving that thing. Once it broke loose, then I was able to sort of wiggle it out. And I've got both of these suspended with zip ties from the underframe. Once again, you have to be very, very careful with the air conditioner compressor unit. It's a closed and high pressure system. If you kink or break any of those hoses, you've got a really big toxic mess. So I was extremely careful on that part. Once I was able to get up under there and disconnect all of the bolts for the intake manifold, that basically just slid off. I ended up improvising a way to pull the coil packs. I don't have the Audi TT tool, but I made a nice little coil pack puller out of a zip tie and just hooked my finger through it and pulled those out. I then went ahead and took off the valve cover so that I could inspect what was under here. Now we're actually looking at some of the work that I'm about to do. These timing chains, and so these are the cam chains. The timing chains are down the side. Will get inspected, and if they look like it, they may need to be replaced. Definitely doing the upper and the lower timing chain, but this cam chain also I'll take a peek at. Now that the engine is in this state, I've got all the spark plugs removed as well. I can actually crank the engine over by hand, which is important because when you do the timing job, the engine needs to be at top dead center in order for it to then retime correctly. So that's sort of where I'm at now. Like I said, a bunch of work, although I will say that doing this work has been sort of nice because a lot of the stuff that was in my way is now out of the way, so I can actually function around this engine pretty easily. The next few steps are going to be a little bit more detailed in that I need to remove the oil cooler, which is actually connected to the DSG transmission. We're going to be moving a lot of these hoses and wires out of the way. We're going to be disconnecting and removing the starter, as well as the thermostat housing, which is under here as well. Once I get that done, I'll be able to actually start working on removing the transmission itself. The transmission mounts are still right here. I think I showed those in the last video. And I intend to get what they call an engine support bar that runs from well to well, and will actually hold the engine up when I remove these mounts. Once those mounts are off, this whole engine assembly will move around, which is good because getting that transmission out is going to be a little bit of an interesting proposition from what I've read. I'm sort of using an approach combining information that I've been getting out of the Bentley shop manual, which I have right here for this car. This details a lot of the work that, at least the subcomponent work that I've been working on. In addition, I did order the ElsaWin shop software, which I have running on a laptop, and the combination of those two information sources have been really helpful attacking some of the problems that I've found. Most of the problems have literally just been because, you know, there's not a ton of space to work, and so in order to sort of make some space, you end up having to take off or loosen or, you know, unbolt things that you weren't intending to unbolt. But overall, I'm feeling very confident in this. I've got a pretty good system for keeping the bolts, connectors, wires, and all that kind of stuff organized. And at least in my mind right now, I can see a way to reassemble it. So so that's always a good thing. But I think the more challenging stuff on this job are still ahead of us here. So the good news is, not a daily driver. I think I mentioned that in a previous video. I am taking my time on this project and hoping to and pushing myself to learn more and more about this car and this engine as we go. So a couple other comments that I'll make before I take you to look under the engine real quick. What I intend to do is clean up these cams really nice. You can see, once again, because of, you know, I'm guessing age, heat, whatever factors, they've sort of discolored. Usually these are you know, pretty shiny and silver. We've got, you know, some sort of dark looking, I don't know if that's residue, oil residue or what on them. I'm going to be sort of digging into this with a brush and possibly some turpentine or some paint thinner to try to clean that out. I've got the engine block draining of oil at the moment, so what I'd like to do is, like I said, clean up this really nice, and, you know, as we start to put this thing back together, hopefully we'll have a nice clean engine on the inside to work with as well. So with that, I'm going to just have I'm going to drop down here and take a look under the car so you can sort of see some of the stuff that I've worked on there. Once again, I think the block is still having the oil drain out of it, so we're going to be careful of that. We don't want to get that on us as we go, but let's have a peek at what it looks like under. So as you can see, this is the air conditioner compressor. I've got this sort of strapped and hanging from the frame. There's the power steering pump right here. Took off the pulley, and the rib belt was also removed. That was actually really easy to do. There's a tensioner. You drive an M8 size bolt into that tensioner, and it relieves tension from the belt, which then slips off. There's a bracket right here, which actually secured not only the power steering pump, but the air conditioning unit and the alternator, which is off the engine and in a box over to the left. As you can see, I'm sort of replacing all the bolts as I take them out so that I can remember where they go, and I've got some pictures of the wiring harnesses so that I can rematch them up. Although I will say that Audi does a pretty good job of making the harnesses different enough that I'm pretty sure that you can only plug harnesses in one way, so that's a good thing. As you can see, though, now that all this stuff is out of here, there's plenty of room in this engine to work, at least in the front, which is going to be important when we start working on that thermostat and pulling the starter. That's all sort of in the front over on that other side. Some of the work yet to do as well, before I can attack that transmission, is I'll be pulling the hubs, the discs, calipers, the hubs. We'll be pulling out the drive shaft from the transmission itself as well on both sides. And my aim is to remove the DSG, leave the transfer case in the engine, and it's still attached, so that I don't need to disconnect the drive shaft. that's just more work than I'm hoping to take on, but we'll see as we go. And let me think here, what else to show? I think that's really it. I'm going to take some pictures, put them up on the blog. If anybody out there is doing this work themselves and I've missed something or you're stuck, please feel free to reach out to me. I know that I've asked a few questions of some of the forums that I'm on, and definitely like to help out. So here's another shot of that engine with the valve cover removed. You can clearly see the cams and the cam chain and so forth. Good deal. All right, until next time. Once again, my name is Brent Kastner, and this is my Audi 2004 Audi TT timing chain replacement job. As it turns out, though, there's a lot more work than just a timing chain replacement. And I had a special helper in the shop today. This is my daughter Evelyn. She's helping with the camera and wrenching under the car as needed. So, good deal. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.